You already know what time it is. You already know what's going on. Your favorite duo is back in session. Your favorite cousins are back. I am your host, Cam Silver,
And I am your co-host Kyle Silver.
and welcome back to the Silver Boys podcast. So, Kyle, oof,
What's goody,
we
man? What's
we
goody?
we finally back in it, bro. We finally
Yes,
got,
sir.
college football is in like the mix of, the college football playoffs now, obviously with the rankings coming out every Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
College basketball is officially back, just started back up on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, the NBA is in full swing right now. The NFL, they're starting to look at, the playoff pictures are starting to come out and everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a lot going on, and it's a good amount to talk about right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Good slate of games all across the board and every sport that we cover. So let's just get right into it. I can't wait. We got like you said, we got some things to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. Let's start off with the NFL. Let's go to the AFC. So just last week, Kansas City and Miami went over to Germany to play a game, and that was like one of the games that was circled on my schedule
Mm-hmm.
that I was like very excited to see, and it ended up being one of the most underwhelming performances I've ever seen.
Very, very underwhelming. I mean, I don't know if it was that whole international flight kind of thing. How long were they really out there for? Like, did they get out there like a week before? Like, you know what I'm saying? A couple days before.
Right.
Um, but yeah, very underwhelming. Scored a total of 35 points, 21-14 Chiefs. Yeah, like you expect more, especially from the Dolphins. Like again, we keep saying the same thing. I feel like every week now. It went versus like for the Miami Dolphins when they face a good team versus when they don't face a good team. And it's underwhelming when the Dolphins don't come out to play and actually show who they're supposed to be against these, top contending teams.
Right. Yeah, no, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about really was, because obviously Miami has this huge buzz around him. Tua's doing his thing now.
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill is going to be Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle's great. HN, whenever he comes back, we expect him to be good. And they also have Morstead, but all their wins are coming from teams with with that are under 500. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they're obviously winning the games that we expect them to win, but in order for them to really for us to take them seriously, we need them to start winning the games, like against Philadelphia, against Kansas City, etc. They have games against Buffalo, who they have to see again. So yeah, no, that's one thing right there where right now I'm looking at them as just a playoff team. They're not a contending team for me.
Exactly. No, I that's the perfect way to put it. They are a playoff team, not a contender yet. They haven't proven to be.
Right.
Um, because again, you can't drop 70 on
On the
Denver
Broncos, right.
and then you have 14 against the Chiefs. I mean, but
Or
let's give
or
no
or
what you
just 20 against Buffalo, but keep
exactly.
going.
Exactly. No, I was just gonna say, you got to give credit to the Chiefs defense because they came out and did what they were supposed to do against Tua, who has been flinging the football, regardless of the wins and the losses and who they're beating versus not who they're beating, and
Hmm.
then Tyreek Hill, like they held everybody to what they were supposed to do, what the Chiefs defense was supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, no, you've hit it spot on. The Chiefs defense is a lot better than I thought that they'd be, especially,
Hmm.
obviously signing Chris Jones back, which is a big thing. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, in reality for in going to Kansas City side, the, Patrick Mahomes just has to find that one receiver that he could really trust right now, other than obviously Travis Kelce,
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's the biggest thing that he's missing right now. Because like just looking at the receiving numbers, like he got the ball to everybody, but it was just so low. Like Noah Gray, 3 receptions, 34 yards. Sky Moore, 2 receptions for 33 yards. Jared McKinnon, 2 receptions, 22 yards. Like no one's standing out like they used to when they had Tyreek Hill and others with him, right? So
Hmm.
so yeah, no, that's one thing. They have to figure out how to get the run game going again. Even though Pacheco had 16 carries for 66 yards, we've seen him do more, and we've seen other guys in that backfield do more. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's one thing that I'm worried about with them. Obviously, I would still have them as a Super Bowl contending team because
Absolutely.
everybody knows Patrick Mahomes just he does that magic where he will get you to where you need to be at the end of the year. But yeah, no, that's just one thing with Kansas City where yeah, no, they just have to figure out how to score more points and get themselves, and they have to get out of their own way, basically.
I agree. I completely agree. As long as you got 15 Pat Mahomes, man, you're
You straight,
the Chiefs are easily like AFC Championship. Like you put them down for AFC Championship at least,
correct,
at least,
correct,
just
correct.
because of
Yeah.
1-5, just because of 1-5. So I mean, shout out to Chiefs. They handled business. They did what they were supposed to do in
Mm-hmm.
Germany. Shout out to them. Hopefully Germany liked it. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully
Right.
enjoy, you know what I'm saying, some American football. Uh,
Yeah.
but
They
no, it
got
was yeah.
they got the Patriots and the Colts Sunday morning, so
Okay.
we'll see with that one with both teams being, sporadic or whatever.
Exactly.
But but yeah, no, let's keep going. Other games that were crazy. Baltimore beating the brakes off of Seattle, another NFC team that goes into Baltimore and gets killed literally, like just mauled. Detroit went in there the other week.
Mauled.
I would thought that they would give them a game. No, Seattle. I thought they would give them a little more of a game, but no, same exact thing. Baltimore, in my opinion, might actually be the most complete team in the league right now.
Honestly, I think so too. You notice how San Francisco's falling off. You got Philadelphia. We're going to talk about them probably in a couple of minutes, but Philadelphia, you got Jalen Hurts hurt, and we'll get into that.
Hmm.
But I agree with you. I agree with you actually. Like, over the past couple of weeks, they have just been building off of, the success that they've had the previous week. And Lamar is looking MVP candidate. He might mess around and go unanimous again if he keep playing the way he's playing, dog. And if
Oh
Tua
yeah,
and Tyreek keep going like this and can't beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, you can't put them in the MVP conversation. You just can't.
cor correct. They'll only be in the MVP conversation because of their numbers, but it won't be because of getting your team the W's that they need. Like
Exactly.
the Ravens being 7-2 right now is spot on. Their offense, it doesn't click always, but they always find a way, whether that's running or passing the ball with Lamar. But
Mhm.
their defense is outstanding. It's a defense that's not talked about enough, in my opinion.
Not at all. Not at all. You're right. You're right. We gotta put some respect on that Ravens defense because we were getting on them a little bit even last season too about how
Yeah,
like they couldn't stop a cold. And then now, like, look at them now. They beating the brakes off of teams and they holding teams Seahawks 3 points. Like, you know what I'm
co
saying? They're
correct.
they're they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing their job. And Ravens, they're sitting the top. They're sitting the top of the AFC. They are.
Yeah,
They most def they could easily be 9-0 if they didn't have all of those drops. And then
and
if they
that
didn't have
Steeler
all those
game,
drops
yeah,
in the Steelers game and Lamar don't fumble that ball, 8-1, or they'd be 9-0. Like, come
right.
on, come on.
Yeah,
So just to put that into its proper perspective, yeah. Yeah, like the Ravens are the team to beat in the AFC. Like it'll definitely either come down to like Ravens, Bengals, Ravens, Chiefs, if
yeah,
Lamar could actually get out of I think it's important that he get that first week bye, when it
yeah,
comes to playoff time. I think that's real important. That's a goal that they need to achieve right now because you get that first week bye, you know what I'm saying? You get to rest your peoples. OBJ will come back, you know what I'm saying, nice and strong. You guys say Flowers is doing his thing. In the defense, you give them time to rest, recuperate. So yeah, man. Yeah. I got Ravens going to the Super Bowl. I'm gonna say it right now. I got Ravens going to the Super Bowl.
okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. Yeah, I would co-sign that with you.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals are starting to come in, and they're coming in strong now. The Chiefs, we just talked about them. They're like iffy, but they know how to pull out in tight games and tight windows. And then other than that, I don't really see anybody else getting in their way, if we're being
No.
honest. But
I
let's
would I
switch
would
over.
I'm just gonna say this real quick and then we can switch over. Bengals are
Yeah.
probably there is probably just the scariest team that can beat them right now, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just wanted to put that little nugget of info out there. Continue.
Yeah, nah. Yeah. But the switch over to the NFC. So obviously the big game was Dallas and Philadelphia. As usual, for the past couple of years, we've been trying to figure out who's better, Dallas or Philadelphia, always getting into that argument or whatever. But Philly comes out on top 28-23. Even though that Dallas had a chance, had literally the most perfect chance to come out and win that game. What happened first? They get the pass interference on the first call.
Yup.
Then the second call, they get a rough in the passer.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, they're basically teetering onto the red zone. Then after that, they get down there to what the 30, 35 yard line or whatever,
Mhm.
and they crumble. They just don't know how to close out games. That's the biggest thing right now for them. And if you can't close out games, then you're not gonna go to the Super Bowl. You're not gonna go to the NFC Championship. What's that all about?
So, what have we been religiously saying for months now, and even on other networks? What have other networks religiously been saying for years now? It comes down to moments. It comes down to moments. And every single time that Dallas has a chance, they could have the best possible chance, Cameron, and they cannot pull it out. And it's just
No.
it's like a reoccurring nightmare for the Dallas Cowboys at this point. Like that's literally all it is. That's all it
It,
is.
it's funny because growing up in obviously a Giants household and Giants family, it's hilarious to watch it. But at the
Exactly.
same time,
Exactly.
but at the same time, it's like I feel like almost bad for you guys because you guys really just don't know how to get out of your own way. And I
And my
don't blame and I can't blame Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott played one of the best games I watched him play recently.
hmm
He did his thing. He was slinging the ball all over the place. CD got his touches. Ferguson got his touches. Turpin got his touches. They used Gallup when they need to use Gallup. I believe they use Cooks too as well. But
hmm
in reality, Mike McCarthy has to be more aware of that time, bro. I feel like this is the second year in a row where we're talking about him and clock management.
and clock management. And this is a regular season game against an Eagles team that is depleted, not healthy, and you still couldn't pull out the win. The Eagles got beat down in that game. They really, really did. And
Yeah,
and the Dallas Cowboys still couldn't put it out. So what does that tell you? At full strength, they at their full strength, and Philly not at full strength, they still can't beat Philly. So what
yeah.
happens when Philly comes back and Jalen Hurts hopefully can recuperate that knee and he can like come out and everybody is healthy? Then what are you gonna do?
And the funny thing is I'm not even really worried about Jalen Hurts' knee. It's more the fact that their secondary is not healthy at all.
Exactly that as well. That as well. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes.
They were carving up. Dak Prescott was doing a great job carving up that secondary, basically the whole game. He had like 300, he had 374 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like I said, you guys get down to the red zone. You guys, like you said, that moment, you guys had the perfect moment. It was right there, picture perfect right there for you. But again, clock management. You can't you if you don't have clock management, then what are you really doing?
Exactly. Like I'm just looking at these team stats right here real quick. 406 yards for Dallas versus 292 for Philly. They still pull out the win. Dallas commits that one turnover, Philly no turnovers, and then 27 first down to 20 first downs, and you still couldn't get that win. You still couldn't get it after putting up almost 200 more yards than your opponent, and you still. I'm man, that it's not a good sight to see. It's not.
More rushing yards and more receiving yards. More receiving yards, not more rushing yards. They obviously Philly had more rushers, but just more receiving yards. Like I said, Dak was throwing the ball all over the place, and
Exactly.
you still were not able to come out with it, and that's a huge problem right there.
It is. It really, really is. And it. Let's just be honest. I could see this. This could keep happening to them now. It can keep happening if Mike
Yeah.
McCarthy does his clock management, time management skills correct. He did. He'll be out of a job. He'll be out of a job
Oh yeah. By the end of the year, easily, easily. I don't care
because
what anybody say.
Jerry Jones is gonna look at games like this and he's gonna be like, "Yo, you couldn't close it out when we needed it. When we needed you to."
Right.
And now Philly's up basically 3.5 games. Basically.
Basically, yeah.
Two and a half, like actually 2.5, but now Philly holds that tiebreaker. Come on now. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Me and you both, bro. But
That's all I can say.
but let's try to speed through some of this. The Jets fall to the Chargers, even though the defense, look, their defense tried to hold up as much as they could, but it's impossible to do when your offense just can't generate anything. Even though Zach Wilson had 263 passing yards, which
Mm-hmm.
it something obviously something's missing, but we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
Also Buffalo. Falling to 5-4 after losing to Cincinnati. That right there is not looking good at all. That's another thing that we're gonna have to talk about later on. But
Yeah.
Josh Allen and those boys really need to figure it out because if not, they will get left behind, and that window is closing quickly. That
Very
championship
fast.
window is closing very quickly. So, yeah, no, they have to figure that out. Shoot, like right now,
Like
basically.
yesterday. That's how,
Exactly.
like, come on.
Oh, let's go to the NBA. Let's talk about James Harden's first couple games with the Clippers.
You know, it's still early.
Yeah,
Still early.
it's still early. Obviously, the first two games, they everybody looks, hesitant, kind of held to skelter a little bit, not knowing what to do.
hmm
Obviously, people are just trying to everybody's trying to get their bearings underneath them. But I believe that they'll be fine. But I think it's also all about the matchups that they put out there too.
It's all about the matchups. Ty Lue actually just said that. He said he needed, like, he's gonna need at least in between anywhere like 15 to 20 games to like really figure out a good starting lineup. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
was thinking about this, and I'm like, that's a fourth of the season, dog. That's a fourth of the season that you need
yeah.
to figure out. Like, and you better
15
figure
to
it out
20.
quick.
We talking basically to this almost middle of December almost.
That's what I'm saying. Like
We're talking about a month.
that's
That's not good.
luckily
It's
there's
not,
82 games, but that 82 come up quick.
yeah, it does.
82 comes up quick and
It
and
does.
and
Because next thing you know, we'll be at Christmas Day.
exactly, like you can't lose to the Nets as much as we love the Nets over here. Cam Thomas doing his thing. He just got hurt and everything, but you can't lose to the Nets. You can't.
Mm-mm. Especially after the way that the Nets were shooting. I mean, like
Exactly.
all their top guys was like 4 for 10, 4 for 11. But they were playing defense though. That was the biggest thing, getting blocks. They had a lot of blocks.
I think it's going to be important to like definitely like figure out how to like use Russell and Harden at the same time because I'm
Hmm
looking at these stats real quick again. 6 of 18 for Russ, but only 4 of 9 for James Harden. Like you gotta find a way to even that out a little bit between them. You do,
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
do. And it's like, and then you got guys like Kawhi, Paul. Just nothing was falling. Nothing was falling. Paul George 2 for 10 from three. Kawhi 1 for 6 from three. That's not a reoccurring thing. That's gonna keep happening. But
Right.
like definitely have it figured out. I believe in Ty Lue, but it's gonna take some working out. It's gonna take
Yeah,
some.
yeah, and like we said, they'll be fine. But yeah, no, it's just a matter of just everybody just getting used to each other. Basically,
Exactly.
it's hard to plug and play. It's very
Mm-hmm.
hard to plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing I want to talk about was Wemby. His first game in Madison Square Garden was underwhelming to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell Robinson said when he wanted to guard him, he was comparing it to what was it? It was Rudy. Was it Rudy Gobert and Bobo or
He said like
no,
Rudy
no, excuse
Gobert.
me, not Rudy. It was Kristaps Porzingis and Bobo.
Yes. Yes.
That's what he said
Yes.
it was.
Yes.
And he did pretty well. I think he was 0 for 6 or over 7 when Mitchell was the primary
Over
defender
over
on him.
six. Over
0 for
six. Yep.
6,
Yep.
yeah. And then Wemby ended off with he was 4 for 10 from the field, 0 for 4 from three. He was 6 for 6,
Mhm.
but yeah, he came out and that the garden was smaller than he thought it was. Like that was pregame, but then afterwards he was like, "Yeah, those lights are bright," and I was like, "Everybody,
We
yeah, a lot
tried
of
to
people
tell
don't
you. We
understand
tried to
that.
tell you.
A lot
We
of
they
people do
tried to
not
tell you.
understand that. Like,
Yes,
but
yes. That them MSG lights, man. I mean, some of the brightest lights in
yeah,
sports world.
yeah. Between being a Laker, yeah, those lights are hugely
Mhm.
bright. But yeah, no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Like you said, like we said, he just 19 years old. When you really
Exactly.
think about it, it's crazy to think that he's really only 19 years old. But yeah, no, he'll get his bearings under him. And the Knicks on a little 2-game win streak right now. Julius Randle
Mhm.
looks like he kind of is coming back into form, finding himself a little bit.
Mhm.
Uh, you see Jalen Brunson's kind of doing it too. RJ Barrett, I'm really impressed with RJ Barrett right now. He's a lot more efficient than he has been since coming in.
Mhm.
And he's worked on his 3-point shot a lot too,
Mhm.
a whole
Mhm.
lot. Just being he was 5 for 9, against the Spurs. So yeah, no, that's very encouraging for Knicks fans out there.
I agree. I completely agree. Yeah, like just let's just hopefully he can sustain it and be consistent. That's all I ask for.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. But yeah, let's move on. Let's go to college football.
Let's get
So
it.
the whole thing with this, let me pull up my notes. The whole thing with the whole
Mm-hmm.
Michigan thing. So apparently, from what I'm hearing, from what I hear on ESPN and Yahoo Sports, is the fact that the Big Ten said that they will be coming down on they'll be making a decision on what to do with Michigan and Coach Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
This the school sent back a letter to the Big Ten saying that they're urging, due process, and they're saying, be careful with how you guys put a punishment on us, when they're saying that, there have been other teams that are doing this as well or have been doing this in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's all about, just be careful on like what you guys are like what the punishment is. And if obviously and then hearing that sources are saying that Harbaugh had nothing to do with it, he didn't know anything about it. And the fact that Michigan has indeed violated the sportsmanship policy. So I think it's going to be more on Michigan is going to be more on like whatever ban that they do with them or whatever punishment that they do with them. But Harbaugh, as a whole, from what I'm hearing from all sides around, is the fact that he just wasn't involved in it. But the NCAA, but the Big Ten is going to lean on the NCAA and their ruling, saying that even though the head coach wasn't involved, it's still the head coach's responsibility because guess what? That's his staff.
It's his staff, and how many times do we lament coaches for not knowing what's going on in their organization, though?
Yeah, yeah, that's something that we've
Let's
talked about a good amount, like basically since we started this podcast.
let's like exactly. So as a head coach of a program, you're supposed to know what is going on. I seen reports of myself of how the guy like who was doing it. I'm blanking on his name off the top of my head.
Connor Stallions.
Connor Stallions, thank you. How like he was trying to impress Jim Harbaugh, and he was trying to trying to impress him. But if that's the only way that you could have impressed him, there like what? Come on now, you can't do that.
Yeah,
There's
that's a
other ways
problem.
to impress somebody, and
Right,
instead of violating sportsmanlike conduct policy, or and then even potentially getting caught, and then having your whole organization kicked out because of you trying to impress your coach
right.
when you didn't need to take it there. That's what they need to look into as well.
Yeah.
So if I mean, Michigan saying that in the Big Ten they're going to lean on the NCAA, we won't know nothing until about 2050. Because
Not the fact that they're leaning on the NCAA, but the fact that they're leaning on like how the NCAA would do their rulings,
okay.
basically with that.
But
But yeah, no,
just
the
saying,
Big Ten would have the Big Ten will have like the bulk of like the punishment at least. They'll
mhm.
be able to initiate that. But yeah, keep going.
No, I was just wanted to say too, like I don't, Big Ten, they're in a really tough predicament because, let's just say Michigan, like, they don't get suspended, they don't get banned, whatever, like, or nothing happens, like, or something does happen. The Big Ten, like they don't want to kick out Michigan because think about all that revenue and all that money that will come in if Michigan makes it to the Final Four and they do get to the college football playoffs and they do get to the big game. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, no, no, oh yeah, no, no, no. That shoot it will basically be like how it was last year, Ohio State, Michigan getting in,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously the millions of dollars coming in, rolling into Big Ten to their schools and yada yada yada.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean right there, right there. Like that's why I think Michigan sent that letter saying, like be careful with how you do this punishment because there's a lot of other fishiness going on, just not Michigan. We just so happen to get caught.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. But
But
yeah, no, I
you also, I'm sorry, but you also can't negate or you can't diminish or even like try to like snitch on another school when you did it too, though. And then
yeah.
you can't, that it don't work like that. It don't work
Yeah, I
like
know. And that was the thing that they tried to do with Ohio State, Rutgers, and Purdue when they were like, oh yeah, they were like sharing like the sign stealing signals that we were doing, the yada yada yada. But Purdue for their championship game, like of course they're gonna do that. You guys were clearly doing something illegal. So
that.
obviously if you have a leg up, we're gonna try to give the other team a leg up as well because
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Because you bolstered your way through the Big Ten. But it is what it is. In due time, everything will come out to the way it has to come out, I guess. But, you know, who knows? But the college football playoff rankings came out, week two came out, and everything stayed the same in the top eight at least.
Mhm.
And teams like Oklahoma fell down 8 spots after losing to Oklahoma State. Notre Dame fell after losing to Clemson. LSU fell as well after losing to Alabama.
Mhm.
So you know, like I said, we're getting to that time where every game literally matters right now.
Yeah, every single game matters. You gotta play your heart out. You gotta do what you can to grind out these wins because the college landscape is shifting and it's shifting fast. It's
Yeah,
shifting very. I don't think like I haven't seen like this much of like of shifting like I feel like in a couple years almost to where like you have like big teams like that are actually losing and then falling off when they should be winning.
when they
Like
should be winning. Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's crazy because it's funny. It's funny how they're doing the rankings too because you could tell like Alabama has beat more ranked teams than Texas, but obviously that Texas head-to-head matchup holds ground.
yes,
So that's
yes.
the reason why Texas is gonna hold over for right now at least.
Hmm.
And then also you have let me get back to the rankings, but also you have what am I looking at? You have teams like Washington and Oregon.
Hmm.
Oregon has by far since that Washington game has been playing better than Oregon. No, no,
Hmm.
excuse me. Oregon has been playing better than Washington. Excuse me. I got myself mixed up a little bit. But the fact that Washington beat Oregon in that head-to-head matchup holds weight. And that's the reason why Washington is 5 and Oregon is 6 right now. So
Hmm.
head-to-head matchups matter a lot, especially coming down to the end with a good amount of these teams still having to play each other,
Hmm.
especially i.e. the Ohio State and Michigan game that comes in 2 weeks. You got Penn State and Michigan this weekend,
That
which
like
is
both of those games have big implications, very
just
very big implications for Washington. I mean, not for Washington, for Michigan and for Oregon, Kyle, and
Ohio State.
for Ohio State and for Michigan. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah. But
yes.
yeah, no, the Michigan Penn State right now, if Michigan could get past them, then they should be fine going into Ohio State. But if Michigan can't get past Penn State, boy, oh boy, then that's when you're gonna see the movement. That's when you're
Yeah,
really gonna start seeing some movement. Because
yeah.
right now that top four isn't really gonna budge right now. Everybody in that top four has been playing great. Georgia, escaping again in Missouri. Now they got another big test with Ole Miss, number 9, Ole Miss coming in and seeing how Lane Kiffin will be able to manage that and see
Mhm.
what they could possibly do. But yeah, no, the movement will not stop until after the what's it called that championship weekend.
Yes, yes, yes. I know. I can't wait to see it, Cam. I can't wait to see it, brother.
Yeah, no, but since we're coming down to it, we'll go over some of the big games coming in. So like we talked about Michigan and Penn State, that's one. Alabama has Kentucky. That's going to be another good one. Um, Utah and Washington is going to be a great one. Tennessee
Mm-hmm.
and Missouri, those two going at it is going to be good. We didn't get a chance to talk about Rutgers. Rutgers played a pretty good game against Ohio State. Ohio State just has better talent on that team, so that's the reason why they were able to pull that one out. But
Mm-hmm.
Rutgers and Iowa, you never know. I'll put it to you like
Never
that.
know.
Iowa doesn't have a strong offense. They have obviously a great defense, but so does Rutgers. Rutgers has a pretty strong defense themselves, but you never know what can really happen there. But some more games, like we said, Ole Miss and Georgia is another good one. Florida going into LSU. We'll see how LSU can bounce back. From what I'm hearing, Jalen Daniels is supposed to clear concussion protocol and come back and quarterback for LSU, which will be really, really, really good for them. And a nightcap, USC and Oregon.
Ooh, that's gonna be such a big game, man. That's such a big game, especially USC coming off that loss to Washington.
Yeah,
That's a big game, even for Oregon too. That's a
yeah,
very very
yeah.
big game.
That's a huge game, and they're at Oregon, so we'll see how all that unfolds. But yeah, no, if USC could somehow, some way pull that one off, we're like I said, more movement,
Oh
more
my
more
goodness!
movement.
Oh my goodness! That would be huge. That would be huge. That would be huge. So, I mean, real quick, I know you said we about to go, but I just had a quick question for you. Do you
Hmm.
think Do you think Caleb Williams has lost his Heisman spot after they've just now what lost three in a row?
Sadly, yes, I do. Um, Obviously his talent is everything, but
Mhm.
in reality, the fact that the team lost three in a row, yeah, like you could tell he's the like one of the only ones out there that's able to do anything,
Every anything.
you know,
Yeah.
any and everything for them. But yeah, no, sadly he has, and I blame that on Lincoln Riley. I blame that on Lincoln Riley and not having a defense for the umpteenth time again. You know, after being in Oklahoma, not having a defense, now you come to the Pac-12 where Oregon has a defense. Washington has a defense, sort of. I don't know what happened to their defense. Utah has a defense.
Utah got a
So
defense.
yeah, Oregon State, you know what I mean? Like I could literally list almost basically the whole Pac-12 and talk about how all of them have pretty good defenses,
Mhm.
except for Colorado and USC and obviously Washington as of right now, like I said. But yeah, no, I feel bad for him because
Mhm.
it was it was like the perfect time for him. I
It
feel like,
was.
you know,
It was.
especially with him being a senior and everything.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, but it's not gonna matter because guess what? He's more than likely still gonna be the number one pick in the
Oh,
draft coming out this year.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, but
I agree.
man, man, we talked about so much. We didn't even get ourselves into college basketball, but I'm actually happy for that because I would rather us let college basketball kind of, you know, me get into the flow of things, even though we already had our first upset with James Madison University beating Michigan State, number four Michigan State, by the way, which is insanity. That was only the first day. Is it chaos, everybody? No, it's just college basketball. But till then, I am your host, Cam Silver,
Yeah, I am your co-host Kyle Silver.
and we will be back next week, hopefully in the studio. But till then, much love, peace, and positivity to you all. See you guys later.
Peace, peace. Thank you. Thank you.